All praises to the one maker, to the one creator. When non-Muslims ask you, who are you worshiping, who are you bowing down to, you say the one that created me and the one that created you, the one maker. Can you guys put on mute in the background, please? I can hear myself. Huh? You got put. Just put on mute in the background. O son of Adam, at one point you did not exist. 100 years ago, nobody knew who you were. 50 years ago, nobody knew who you were. And then 100 years later, everybody that you see around you most likely will be dead. At one point, you didn't exist. And at one point, human didn't exist. And at one point, nobody even knew what human is. And then human came into existence. Yeah, are you guys on mute? Can you put on mute, Hamza, please? And if you take the blood vessels of a human being, all the blood vessels, and you stretch them out, like the way your charger stretched out, it will actually reach 60,000 miles out of one human being. So imagine how many blood vessels do we have, the veins we have. Take them all out, lay them in front of you, and stretch them, it will stretch to 60,000 miles. And if you could tell anybody in the world that the charger built itself, just a charger cable, nobody would believe you. But our blood vessel does not tingle the way our headphone is. And if you stretch them out 60,000 miles,
so they
and
can't
yet...
hear in the FaceTime.
What is it?
Hamza said they can't hear in the FaceTime.
You have a mute, is that why? Yeah, you can. Is this on mute? Yeah, if you put on mute, he can hear you then. That's why. So it will stretch to 60,000 miles. At this point, so we are going to talk about Prophet Yaqoob and the Prophet Yusuf. Now, I want to tell you a thing that I read an article about Imam al-Hasan al-Bazari, radiyallahu anh. A person came to him and said, I am in a lot of debts, what should I do? He told him, do istighfar. Another person came to him and said, I don't have any offsprings and I want offsprings. He said, do istighfar. Another person came to him and said, we don't have enough food, we can't meet our weekly pay, what should I do? He said, do istighfar. His student asked him, why do you keep giving the same answer over and over and over? He told him that istighfar is your solution to all your problems. How many istighfar do you do a day? Do you do it after you pray, or do you rush to go back to your life? So doing istighfar is a problem for all your solutions in life. It's a solution to your problems in your life. Now, let's talk about Prophet Yaqoob alayhi salam and Prophet Yusuf alayhi salam. I want to try to finish off the whole story in this series. So Yaqoob was the son of Ishaq alayhi salam and the grandson of Ibrahim. And it is narrated that Yaqoob actually seen Ibrahim alayhi salam through his lifetime, and Ibrahim advised his son Ishaq and his grandson Yaqoob. He advised them and he told them, always, be conscious of Allah, fear Allah. So Yaqoob had 12 children. 10 children was from one mother, and 2 children was from another mother. So he had 2 wives, 10 from one wife and 2 from the other wife. And the 2 from the other wife, the first son was Yusuf, which was the oldest, and the second one was Benjamin or Binyamin. So in Arabic we call him Binyamin, in English it's translated to Benjamin. And anytime you hear Bani Israel in the Quran, it's actually talking about the sons of Yaqoob. So we are seeing the first traces of Bani Israel, because through their progeny or their tribe or their clan, each one had the tribe or the clan of Bani Israel. So the first traces of Bani Israel we are seeing through his 12 children. And in the Quran it tells you that it's a beautiful story. This is the best story that was narrated out of the whole humanity. So there's nothing better story than this. It is, Allah tells us, it's a beautiful story. And as much as you hear it over and over and over, you are amazed, and each time you hear it, it's like it sounds different and different. This story never gets boring. You can tell your kids this story over and over and over, it never gets boring. You read the chapter Yusuf over and over and over, and you're just amazed of how beautiful this story is. So the story started when Yusuf seen a unique dream. And he went up to his brother and said, oh my father, I seen 11 stars, and I seen the sun and the moon prostrating to me. He said, oh my son, do not reveal this dream to your brothers. They will plan a plot against you. Indeed, the shaitan is a plain enemy of humans. So do not run to your brother and tell him this dream, because the shaitan will begin to whisper in their heart. Now, why was Yusuf's brother jealous of Yusuf? Now, as we see our children grow up, the first child we're spoiling, right? We spoil them. They're the first child. Then the child that grew up witnessed that the second child, who just is 6 months or a year old, and we're spoiling him more, he is witnessing that his second brother is being spoiled. The first child forgets that he was spoiled like his brother. So this story tells us that even though we spoiled the first child, we also have to give attention to both child, because the first child forgot. We don't remember what we did when we were 1. We might remember at the age of 5 or 6, but we don't remember what we did at the age of 1. And we're seeing our younger brother get spoiled. So the first child is like, I never got this spoiled, but he did get spoiled, but he doesn't remember that. He doesn't remember the attention. And when babies are 6, 7 months old or 1 year old, you give them all your attention. And then the brother that's 5 and 6, you're giving him less attention. The one that's 5 and 6 doesn't remember he was getting the same attention, and he thinks that his brother is getting all the attention. So that's why they were jealous of him, because Yaqoob alayhi salam was giving a lot of attention to his 2 younger boys. And so Yusuf was not supposed to tell the dream to his brothers, but he was so excited that he slipped up and told his brother about the dream. The brothers got together and said, our father has went astray. And when they got together, they were all sitting down, 10 brothers together, and they said, we have to do something about Yusuf. And truly, Benjamin and Yusuf are getting more love than us, and we are a big number. Like, we have a lot of brothers. We never got the attention they did. The first person said, kill Yusuf. Then an older brother who was a little bit less evil than them said, do not kill Yusuf, just throw him in a far away land. Then a third person said, how about we throw him in a well, and if a caravan passes by, they'll just see him, they'll take him, they might sell him as a slave. This way, this is what they said, this way our father give us the equal attention. So this shows that the brother did not see the attention they wanted, and they began to plan against the brother. So there was a hadith to the Prophet ﷺ. A man came to him and said, I'm trying to give a gift to one of my kids, but Prophet Muhammad ﷺ told him, either you give all your children the same gift, or you don't give nothing. So do not give one children a gift and forget about the others. And they went up to their father and they said, oh father, why don't you trust us with Yusuf? We are genuine. He sent us with us. He will have fun. He will enjoy it. He said, I fear that you might forget about him when he's playing, and a wolf might snatch him and eat him. They told him, how can a wolf eat him when we are in big number and we are together? A wolf is not going to attack him. So the father ended up, giving in, and he ended up basically letting Yusuf go with them. So they played a game called hide and seek, and they basically tied him to a well. They put him inside a well. They told him, we're going to come back. They never came back. Yusuf had to spend the whole night. He's a young boy at this age. He's probably about 4 or 5 years old. And he spent the whole night in the well. And Angel Jibreel alayhi salam came and spent the night with him, and because he was crying through the whole night. And then they went to their father crying. Their father said, why are you crying? Did something happen to the flocks? Did something happen to the sheep? They said, no. A wolf came and basically snatched Yusuf and ate him. And when we got there, we only found the shirt. You will not believe us even when we're speaking the truth. So a wolf killed Yusuf, and the only thing we have is a shirt, and the shirt had fake blood. So they killed the sheep and they put fake blood in there. And Yaqoob, known that his beloved son is still alive, he didn't believe them. He said, what a merciful wolf it is. How can he eat my son when his shirt doesn't have a single tear? So they planned a good plan, but they forgot to, tear up the shirt. How can a wolf eat him and the shirt is not even a single rib? They made a mistake. So they began to swear on Allah that no, he ate Yusuf. They began to swear on Allah. Then he burst in tears and he said, patience is just more befitting for me for what you have planned against me. And a caravan passed the well. 2 people passed the well, and when they're taking out water, they seen a little boy tied to the bucket, and they said, oh look, it's a little boy. So instead of them trying to find the father and return the boy, they said, let's try to sell him as a slave and make some money out of him. They went back to Egypt, and they realized that nobody wants to buy a little boy. Tell them to close. Nope.
We're closed. Yeah.
So nobody wants to buy a little boy as a slave. They want somebody who can do slave work. So they end up selling him for really cheap price. That price did not benefit them, for cheap dirham. And Aziz, which is the leader of Egypt, bought him. The minister of Egypt bought the boy, and he told his wife that we can take him as a slave, but let's be good to him to a point where we consider him as a son. It was narrated that they didn't have any children. And as Yusuf grew up to be a teenager, Yusuf was given half of the world beauty. So the beginning of time till now, all the beauty you see, Yusuf was given half of that beauty. So he was extremely handsome to a point where it was narrated he is the most handsome man that ever lived. And the wife chief minister, her name was Zalicha. She watched Yusuf grow up day by day, and she began to see the handsome. She began to have evil attention, and one day she decided she wanted to seduce him. So she went in the room where Yusuf is, and she locked the door, and she said, come on, they want to fall in that trap. And he said, I seek refuge from Allah, and my master has been kind to me. So he's telling her that your husband has been very kind to me, and I seek refuge from Allah. And that answer did not satisfy her. And Allah tells us, had it not been for the signs we have given the young boy, the teenager boy Yusuf, and it have it not been that Allah has protected him, and have it not been for the master, which is the Aziz, the husband, coming in from the house, he would have fell in that trap. So that shows us, if Allah did not show him the signs as he's a younger teenager, he would have fell into that trap. And Allah has saved him from evil and immorality. So as Yusuf trying to leave the room and the door is locked, he tried to escape, so she pulls his shirt. And when he pulls his shirt gets torn from the back, not from the front. So he's trying to escape, and his shirt gets torn from the back. And the husband walks in while that scene is going on. And he says, what's going on? She says, what is the punishment that should be served on someone who's trying to harm your wife? So she's playing the innocent card. And she accuses that Yusuf tried to rape her, and that she's innocent. And Yusuf denied the accusation. While that scene is going on and all that noise is going on, the neighbors got together and they said, what's going on? And they heard the story. They said, if the shirt is ripped from the front, then he's guilty of rape. And if the shirt is ripped from the back, then she's a liar and he's innocent. So they passed the shirts around the neighbor, and they all sided with Yusuf that she is guilty and he is innocent. And sadly, the husband sided with his wife. So it seemed like the husband, he was an extreme old man. He was a really old man. He had money. It seems like his wife married him for status and money. And it seems like that she played the innocent card and accused him of rape. And rumors began to spread around town that she is in love with the slave boy, because it's not common for the master to fall in love with the slave. And when she heard the rumors, she decided to invite all the women in town, the elite women in town, and they all got together. So they all sat at a table and they began to cut apples, and she wanted to parade Yusuf, so she told Yusuf, come in. When he walked in, they were so surprised of how handsome he is. They said, this is not a human being, this is an angel. And they all wanted a piece of him. Every one of them wanted a piece of him. And they told him, if you don't give us what we want, we are going to imprison you. We are going to false witness against you, and we're going to imprison you. He went to his room and he made a dua. Oh Allah, it's better for me to be in jail than for me to engage in this sin. Keep this away from me so I don't become among the ignorance. And one of the people that gets shaded on the day of judgment are a woman that came to a man and she tried to seduce him, and he said, I fear Allah. These are one group that will be shaded on the day of judgment when there's no shade. So when they false witness against him, he went to jail, and one of his Yusuf's ability to interpret dreams. So he was able to interpret dreams. When he walked in jail, there was 2 men walking in on the side with him. And one man said, I seen a dream. I seen myself squeezing wine. And the other man, I saw a dream that there was bread on my head and birds were eating from it. And they said, you look like a pious man. You look like a good man. Can you tell us what this dream meant? So Yusuf seen an opportunity to spread Islam, one God. And he told them, on the next meal, so in prison you have the meal, so on the next meal, I will tell you the meaning of this dream. And he told them, I am the son of Yaqoob, who is the son of Ishaq, who is the son of Ibrahim alayhi salam. A person asked Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, who was the most noble prophet in lineage? He said Yusuf. He was the son of a prophet, the son of a prophet, the son of a prophet, and a son of a Khalil. And he had a high lineage in prophet-wise. So Yusuf said, "O my companions, what is better for you?" He's talking about Islam. Is it better to worship one God and only one, or is it better to worship little gods or to worship different gods? So he's talking about Islam, to worship one God. So now after they ate the meal, he told them what the dream meant. The first one, he told them, you are going to be free and you are going to be a servant for the king and you're going to be serving him with wine. That's what the dream meant. The second one, he told them, you are going to be executed, you're going to be crucified, and the birds are going to eat from your head. So he's going to be crucified on a stick for a while and the birds are going to eat from him. So one is going to be free, one is going to die. He told the one that's going to be free, can you mention me that I'm an innocent man? So this way I don't do my whole sentence, because his whole sentence was they accuse him of rape or accuse him of trying to do rape, and he was sentenced for a long time. So he told the one that's innocent, can you talk to the king and tell him I'm innocent, I didn't do any of that. The person left who was be free, he left, and he forgot about Yusuf. Shaitan made him forget about Yusuf. For a few years he completely forgot to tell the king about Yusuf. One day a king sees a weird dream. 7 fat cows and 7 lean cows. The 7 fat cows are gonna eat the 7 lean one. Then he's seen another one where 7 years of green grain and they're gonna just disappear in mud. So he woke up frightened in the dream. He called the sorcerers, he called the priests, he called the minister, and he told them, I seen a dream, I need someone to tell me the meaning of the dream. They all couldn't tell him what the meaning, they just told him it's a nightmare. The king wasn't satisfied, he wanted to know what is this dream about. So one of his servants remembered Yusuf. After all these years, he remembered Yusuf, and he told the king, do you give me permission to go back to prison? I may have an answer for you. So the person goes back to prison, and he remembered Yusuf, and he said, oh Yusuf, my beloved friend. So now he's his beloved friend, now he needs him. I need you to interpretation of this dream that the king had. So he told Yusuf what the dream meant, and Yusuf told him, you're going to have 7 years of grains, you're going to have crops grown, you're going to have food, you're going to have cattle, you're going to have everything, water, rain, everything. Then another 7 years you are going to have a drought. There's going to be famine, no food, no water, no rain. There's going to be an extreme drought. So for the first 7 years, tell the king to store up as many food as you can. So the man ran back to the king and told him what the dream meant. The king got really curious and said, where did you get this from? I want to know where you got it from. He said, I had a friend in prison, he was innocent, he was false accused. Then the king ordered Yusuf to come out of prison. So when the guard came in to take Yusuf out of prison, he refused to leave. He said, no, I'm not going to leave until I'm proven of my crime, that I was innocent and I was jailed when I was innocent. So the king ordered, he heard the story of what happened to Yusuf. He ordered all the wife of the minister, so all the women that were cutting the apples, and while they were cutting the apples going back, I forgot to mention this, they actually cut their fingers. Why? They don't know they're cutting their fingers, because the amount of beauty he had. So when they seen him, they're like, this is an angel. While they're cutting the apples, they accidentally start to cut their finger. And the Aziza, the wife, the leader, she did that on purpose because she wants to show them how beautiful he is. And when the king brought up all the wife ministers, and he told them, okay, tell me what happened. So the wife, the Aziza, his previous master, she felt like she was going to be cornered, like how you swear under oath in court, and you can't lie. So she felt like, her friends are gonna rat her out. So she came in clean, and she said, I was the one who was guilty. I tempted him. He refused. He was honest, and he was innocent. So it seemed like over time, when he was with her, she developed feeling for him. She may even fall in love with him, and she was hurt that he went to jail, in prison. But again, she put him there in the first place. And Yusuf did forgive her. So after Yusuf was proven that he was innocent, he came out of jail, and he told the king, you should put me in charge of the grains, of the food, of the cattle. I am an honest, and I will fill my job with the permission of Allah. And the famine, the first 7 years, they had great, so they stored up as many food as they can, while nearby countries don't know about the famine, about the drought that's about to come. Egypt was the only place that was storing so many food, getting ready for a drought, because they're getting ready for it. And so the king gave Yusuf a high position, and over time, Yaqoob, his dad, alayhi salam, was making dua to Allah. Oh Allah, reunite me with my son. Oh Allah, unite me with my son, over and over. And years has passed by, and his dad actually became blind because he cried so much for his son. And it is, proven that crying too much can actually causes you to go blind. So it's not good to cry too much. And the first 7 years they stored up, then the drought has begun, and the drought hit every country around Egypt, hit Palestine, hit even Rome, hit even Syria. And his brothers became affected with the drought. And where was his brother living at? Is modern Palestine area. And every country began to go to Egypt to purchase food, because it was the only country that had grains and had food, because they stored up with it. And as his brothers are walking in through the gate, Yusuf recognized them, but they didn't recognize him. And he went up to them and said, he asked them, who are you, where you came from, and how many brothers you have? They said, we have 11 brothers. And they didn't mention Yusuf, because they're technically 12 brothers. They said 11, and they don't know that he's in front of them. He's right in front of them. And Yusuf said, where are the other brothers? Because there's 10 brothers. One stayed with his dad, Binyamin, and Yusuf is one of them. He asked, where's the brother that's missing? He said, he stayed with my dad. He's an old man. He needed to stay. He said, okay, well, he needs to come and collect his rations. He needs to come in person. They said, okay. So while they're leaving, they basically paid food for the merchandise. So while they were leaving, Yusuf had one of his guys sneak their money back. So whatever they paid with, whether it's merchandise, whether it was money, whatever the currency was, he put it back in their bags. And we're gonna get to the story why they put it back. They sold the bag, they bought the grain, whatever they bought, they sold the bag, they went back to their father and they said, oh father, we got the food for us, but they will not give us the food for our brother. He needs to come in person. And the father looked at them and said, do you really want me to trust you like I trusted you with Yusuf? And his dad began to notice there's something hatching, like something, all this dua that I've been making over and over, I never lost hope in Allah. Now I feel something is hatching. And they keep telling him, oh father, trust us. And they said, nope, I don't trust you. Then while they're opening their bag, they see the grain they bought. Under the grain, they see the merchandise. And they said, oh father, look, these are the merchandise that we're supposed to give it to them. I don't know how it came to the bag. Now we have no choice but to go back and return the merchandise. So either way we're going, let our brother come to us, because we're honest, we have to return the money. Let our brother come with us, at least we can benefit the grain for our brother, and they can get the money back. So he said, okay, I will not send you the little brother, Binyamin, until every one of you swear by Allah that you will protect him, unless it's beyond your control. Unless something happens that's completely beyond your control. Every one of them swear by Allah that they will protect their brother. And even though they swore, there's a saying, say, once you lie, you're going to lie again, or once you lie, you break the trust of the father. He told them, even though you promise, I still lay my trust on Allah. Then he said, oh my son, when you enter Egypt, do not enter all in one gate. Enter it in different gate. So this teaches us that entering all from one gate, he was afraid of the evil eye. People will say, oh, look at these brothers, 10 brothers, look how big they are. They will say, wow. They're not going to say, mashallah. And he didn't want his son to get jinxed. order from different gate. Even though, like in life, you try not to, you're not intentionally trying to show off, but you can intentionally get jinx while you're not intentionally trying to do it. So this is what that teaches us: is not intentionally can also get you, can hit you with an evil eye. And while they walked in, with 11 brothers walked in different gate, Yusuf seen Binyamin, which is his younger brother from the same mother, because the 10 brothers are a different mother. He took Binyamin on the side and he told him, I am Yusuf, I'm about to do a plan, you might get terrified, don't worry, this is the plan that I did, and do not get scared. So he took the king golden cup and he put it in Binyamin bag. And while they were leaving, one of the king's servants said, oh you travels, you are thieves. So when the brother looked back and said, us, we are not thieves, we came here to return the merchandise, how are we thieves? Go ahead and search the bag. So Yusuf intentionally searched every single bag and left the last bag on purpose. So each bag they open, they have so much confidence, they're like, see, we told you we're not thief, see, we're not thief, see, we're not thief. And they have so much confidence that they know they didn't steal, because they're not thieves. Once they got to the last bag, they told the brothers are telling Yusuf and the people around him, didn't we tell you we're not thieves? We're not here to steal. We're not these type of people. When he opened the bag, they were shocked when they see the king cup inside the bag. They were extremely shocked. And they said, "O Aziz, O leader, we want to tell you that his brother was also a thief, the brother that passed away." So they're talking about Yusuf. And they don't know that Yusuf is right in front of him. And we did not know he was a thief. And Yusuf kept calm about that comment, because they just called him a thief while they don't know he's in front of them. And they said, "Oh leader, our father is very old. Why won't you just release him to us? And one of us will take his place," because all the brothers remembered the oath they made, that they will not return until they bring Binyamin, the little brother, with him. So Yusuf did not return the little brother. Then the older brother of the group said, "I will not go home. You 9 of you go, I will not go home. I made a promise to my father, I cannot return and face him. So I'm going to stay here." So they went to their father and they said, "Look, father, you're not going to believe us, but your little son, our little brother, is a thief. You're not going to believe us. And for us to prove that we're telling the truth, you can ask every witness that came with us. There are witnesses that lives around their area that went to get food. You can ask him, we are not telling a lie." So their father looked at him and said, "Now I have lost 3 children. First I lost 1, now I lost 3. The older brother is not coming back. He's over there. Binyamin and Yusuf. My patience is so beautiful. I hope that Allah brings all 3 sons back." So Yusuf said, the brother said, "Okay, for the 2 brothers, yeah, you can make dua, but Yusuf is far, far gone. Don't even bother. Stop making dua about him. He's completely gone. We're never going to see him again." And then Yaqoob told him, "I know from Allah what you do not know." So what is that knowledge that Yaqoob alayhi salam knows that his son doesn't know? Is the dream. Because Yaqoob alayhi salam believes in the dream, and he believes Yusuf will come back through the dream that his son seen. So the 9 brothers took all the merchandise they have in their house, whatever money they have, whatever currency. They went back to Egypt. They went to Yusuf. They said, "Oh Aziz, oh leader, we are in a situation very difficult. We brought you everything we own. We don't owe anything about this. And we're very poor. At least take whatever we have and grant us a charity for our brother. Give it to us as a charity." So Yusuf looked at them, and he's about to reveal himself. He said, "I want to ask you one question." They said, "What?" He said, "Do you not know what you did to Yusuf and his brother?" And they looked at him very shocked, because nobody knows about Yusuf except for Yusuf and them. Then all of them were shocked. They were stunned. And they told him, "Are you Yusuf?" He said, "Yes, I am Yusuf, and Allah never wastes the patience and the good deeds that a person does." And then they looked at him and they said, "By Allah, Allah has certainly preferred you over us. Indeed, we are sinners." So they see that Yusuf has a high status now. He's close to the king, or he's a king now. And they're telling him that Allah has chosen you over us. And he told them, no blame will be there upon you today. Allah will forgive you. He is the most merciful. And we know that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, when he went to Mecca and he conquered Mecca, he told his people the same thing that Yusuf told his people. There are no grudges. I forgive you. Khalas, close the topic. And he set them free. He could have easily jailed them. He could have done whatever he wants. He's a king now, but he decided to free them. And he gave them a shirt, and his shirt has sweat on there, and he said, go back to our father and put the sweat on his eyes, and it will actually make him not blind anymore. And it's actually, there was a study released that natural chemicals from our body can uncloud the cataracts. So the cataracts that we have around our eyes, it can uncloud through sweat. So as the caravan is leaving Egypt, with the brothers are leaving, Yaqoob can actually sense that Yusuf is coming. He can sense that Yusuf is actually in Egypt. And 100 miles away, when the caravan left, Yaqoob alayhi salam is telling his neighbors, his people around him, my son is alive, my son is alive. They're telling him, you're an old man, you're crazy, you're gone mad, your son is gone. Stop talking about Yusuf. You've been talking about him for the past 20 years. Stop talking about him. And when they came to the house, they put the sweat on his eyes, his vision was restored, and he said, didn't I tell you that I know from Allah what you do not know? And his children began to ask for forgiveness, and he said, I will ask forgiveness from Allah. Indeed, He is the most forgivable. Now, the dream that Yusuf had is actually coming true. So his dad and his brothers are returning to Egypt. And when they're returning to Egypt, they see Yusuf sitting on a throne. He's the king of Egypt now. And they all prostrate to him. And at the time, people, you can prostrate to a human as out of respect. This is before Pharaoh. When Pharaoh came, bowed down. And when Pharaoh came, he made himself a god. Then it became prohibited. In Islam, we're not allowed to bow down or prostrate to anybody. But before Pharaoh, because Pharaoh was the worst human being that walked, his story is going to come up after this. He's the worst human being that walked. He made himself a god, and he made people prostrate to him. That's when prostration has not been allowed after that. Before that, you're allowed. After that, no. And he said, oh my father, this explains the dream that I had. My Lord has made it a reality. So now Yusuf is reunited with his mom, with his dad, with his brothers, and he has been giving power over the kingdom. So he has power over Egypt, over Palestine, over Syria, over Rome. It was the only country that had grains, and now he has become a king of Egypt. So it seems like the king didn't have children, and he basically loved Yusuf so much that he assigned him to be king after he passed away. And it seems like the king passed away, and Yusuf has taken the kingdom. He has become a king of Egypt. Now, when Yusuf seen all the power Allah gives him, and he's seen all the kingdom Allah gives him, he said, he was making dua to Allah, you have given me power and kingdom, but you are the maker of the heaven and the skies. You are my protector. I want two things. When I die, I want to be in submission, and I want to join the pious in the hereafter. So in Jannah, I want to be among the pious. So all this you have given me, I am happy, but I want to die. I want it more than what I have around me, even more than the kingdom, more than this is to be around the pious in the hereafter. So it seems like it was narrated that Yusuf died at the age of 120. Now, what are the lessons of the story? So, lesson of the story is, in the beginning of Islam, they went through the hardest test, Prophet ﷺ, and it was called the Year of Sadness. We know about that story. And it teaches us, when that story came down, this story came down in Mecca, not in Medina. And it came down on the worst year that the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ has went through. When he heard the story, he became comfortable. It gave him a lot of peace. That each time a hardship comes, a lot of rewards come after it. So hardship comes with ease. And what we learn from the story is, they plan and Allah planned. Like look at his brothers. They planned their downfall while they don't know it. They thought by throwing away Yusuf in a far land, we will get rid of him. But by them doing this, actually made him a king. Because if they didn't do that, then he wouldn't have been in Egypt in the first place. And Yusuf he had a talent to interpret dreams. And another thing we learn is when his friend left jail, he told him, I will ask for you. One thing that we learned, that some people in life, they will use us. And when his friend came back and said, oh, my friend, even though he forgot about him, we learned that some people in life, they will use you. When they remember you, it's for a maslaha, it's for something for use, and they'll forget about you when they don't need you. His friend forgot about him for years. When did he remember him? When he's seen a chance to be closer to the king or earn a high status. And we learned that when we have children, we have to show them equal love. Do not show one extra love than the other, because it builds something in the other heart. And another thing is, ease comes after hardship. And what we learn is the evil eye. We have to be careful of the evil eye. In the Quran, it tells us that Prophet Yaqoob alayhi salam told us that the evil eye is real, and we have to watch out. Even if we're not doing it intentionally, we can actually hurt ourselves with the evil eye, do it unintentionally. Any questions? Story finished? Nope. Assalamu alaikum.